I know, guys. I'm trying to talk to him. I just don't know what he's up to. Guys, we're talking about Elon and the whole Twitter thing. Yeah, I know. Well, I got some other people coming in, and we'll chat with them. And thanks, guys. We'll get back to this. So, guys, we got to talk about Elon. I just think it's a huge problem. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk about this with you is to think about what Elon has been doing these days and think about your career and why you like or dislike Elon. Now, first, for myself, the reason why I originally like Elon, mostly because he started a great company, Tesla, and was very successful at that. I like his technology and his visionary with SpaceX, all of these things. I think that's great, and I'll leave it at that. And it's so strange that now he's just veering off into like buying another company, diverting resources into something else. And for me, I don't see Twitter as being like the same as going to Mars. I just don't. One of the things I think is very, very different with something like Twitter is that it's in a very competitive space. You're also losing out to video, essentially. We're on YouTube. You guys know that. I know that TikTok is doing really well as also. And then something like a Twitter is just like a step backwards. And so I feel like you're trying to push a technology that's frankly not as good as other things. If you want to make Twitter into like say a messaging app, there are better messaging apps out there. If you want to make Twitter into like a cryptocurrency thing, I'm just like that's like completely rebuild. Plus, we're in an environment where crypto's not really very good right now or very hot. We're in a downturn. And one of the things I noticed with all of these sort of Tesla pumper channels, now they're trying to convince you that like Twitter's good. And in my opinion, the Tesla pumper channels, the reason why they're all focusing on Twitter is because they're trying to distract you of Tesla stock is going down essentially. We're going into an environment in the future which is recessionary, and like the question is, in rising interest rates in a recession, do people want to buy expensive cars? Probably not. That's my opinion. But I've backed up by all kinds of data that I see with the car market. And now Elon is trying to convince everyone, and he's been all over Twitter about this, like, hey everyone, you should buy Twitter for like $8 a month. Some of these tweets he's saying, you get what you pay for. Twitter speaks to inner masochists and all of us. And then he's tweeting out these pictures like, that people want to pay $8 for coffee. Why not $8 for Twitter? I mean, the thing is, this is very real. If this existed before, like for example, let's say Facebook successfully convinced people to pay $10, right? Then yes, I would say Twitter would be possible. The thing is though, like at this moment, if you ask a regular person in a recession, what are you going to choose? $8 for Twitter, $8 for Netflix. I'm thinking they're going to choose Netflix or cancel both of them. I just don't see a world where you're going to get enough people to be like, you know what, I want Netflix, I want Twitter, and I want to support this sort of platform to where there's no advertising and no holds bar trolling all day every day. I'm going to pay for that. I don't know. I personally can live without Twitter, and I really want to emphasize this. It's sort of frustrating to me because I see a very smart person. I think Elon Musk is I don't think he's crazy necessarily, but I feel like this is more of a hubris thing. Also, too, I feel like this is a bit of what's the right word to say, sort of spin zone, and this is the spin, in my opinion. He tweets out as a joke that he wants to buy Twitter for $54.20, which isn't really a great price to buy it, right? Generally speaking, buy low, sell high, right? You want to get something at a value. And he files the paperwork and stuff like that, and he's like, oh, crap, I made a mistake. I shouldn't make these kind of jokes. And so then he gets his lawyers, and his lawyers get together and it's like, you know what? We can get out of this deal. Let's pretend that, Twitter lied to you and betrayed you and stuff like that, even though when you originally filed the paperwork, you said that you were going to essentially forego all due diligence and just buy it because you're rich and you can buy anything that you want, right? It was meant to be a joke and then you try to get out of it. Essentially, the joke turned on him where he was essentially forced to buy because ultimately the courts are like going to make him buy this thing, and his lawyers are like, dude, you better just buy it, just pay up now. And then the other thing that's going on as well is that all these banks are kind of, because they have this long relationship with Musk, they don't want to lose that, and they're kind of on the hook for this as well. And essentially all these people are going to lose money, and I just feel like every day now Musk is basically begging people for money, which is kind of weird. It is true when you're selling a car, you're kind of begging people for money, but I think the big difference is, and it's not quite the same because as a business, and I'm sharing with you guys, you provide someone value and people are willing to pay for said value, right? So you offer someone a good product, which is Tesla, and people are willing to pay for that. I think the problem with Twitter is inherently it's just not going to be as good as say like a TikTok or YouTube. You know, I myself prefer YouTube. I'm on YouTube. That's essentially what I watch. I don't really mess with Twitter that much. I don't really mess with Facebook. I'm just keeping real with you guys. I watch YouTube. I watch it for either commercial stuff, be it all kinds of TV shows, or be it independent stuff, like stuff that I do. That's what I watch. I stay away from TikTok because I think it's too young for me, and frankly, I think TikTok is dumb. And so, you know, I think those are the leaders. And then when it comes to like, you know, messaging or crypto, I don't see people. I don't see a world where people want to pay for a messaging app. Most of the messaging apps out there are free. If you guys disagree with me, if you think people want to pay for messaging, I'm just saying, for example, say Twitter becomes a messaging app. And also, too, I think we're in a world where crypto is cooling off, because this has always been rumors that, oh, yeah, you know, Dogecoin and crypto, that's where we're going to go with this. And I don't know. I just feel like we're witnessing a public meltdown. And I just want you to understand that I feel like all these Twitter pumpers now are essentially just following the Elon cult, and it's frankly unhealthy and a bit strange. In terms of like running a business, one of the things that, and I'm looking at right now with Elon, it just he's making lots of jokes about getting people to pay $8 for his platform, and I get it, right? And it's kind of funny, you're used to this sort of salesman, but I feel like it cheapens Tesla, and I mean that sincerely. Where if Tesla and SpaceX are the future, and this is why we all admire him, right? Run with that. Just go with that. And sometimes like the pumper people out there are like, oh no, Elon's so smart, he can turn Twitter whatever he wants. But just by definition, like right now, for example, if I'm running a Tesla company and I'm in the office at Tesla, or I'm in the Tesla factory, I'm not at the Twitter office. And then the reverse. If I go to the Twitter office, I move all my stuff in there. I'm having meetings all day, every day. My mind's on Twitter. I'm talking about Twitter. I'm tweeting about Twitter. By definition, I'm not going to spend that much time or less time on Tesla or SpaceX, which I think are great endeavors, to be honest. You know, I give Tesla the fanboys a hard time because I think Tesla's overvalued, right? I think the stock is too expensive, but that doesn't necessarily mean like I think they're just awful products or anything like that. I never say that. Just the stock and the product isn't necessarily the same thing. I'm just calling out to where I feel like I just want you guys to be aware of this, that all of these Tesla pumper channels are becoming like now Twitter pumpers, and it's a bit weird. And I really do think it's because it's a distraction. Twitter's a distraction of, oh, your Tesla stock's going down and you're losing half your money, maybe more. And you know, just forget that I was pumping Tesla the whole time. I think that's sort of what those channels are going for right now. And I just don't think Twitter is a winning proposition. If you guys disagree, if you think going into recession that you're going to find enough people to pay $8 a month to use a platform where everyone trolls each other, essentially, be my guest. I think when the advertisers start pulling out, and the stuff that Elon's doing right now is really not advertiser friendly at all. He's aggressively getting into politics, which is something usually CEOs really try to avoid. Yes, CEOs can do politics. Like, for example, if just for example, let's say the White House, passes some sort of bill that affects your business. Sure, a CEO is going to come out and say, hey, you're like affecting my business. Let's work together to like change policy. Or CEOs purposely try to affect policy. But like, what we're talking about here, a social media platform, there's not really, and it's unprofitable. And you're looking at an industry too that I would argue is in a massive decline because ad revenue is going down. You looked at what happened to Snapchat, you look at what happened to Facebook, and I just don't see it. So I don't know. I feel sorry for the fanboys, and I just want to give you guys a touch of reality what's going on with the Elon thing, and don't get caught up in cults. If your money is you want it to grow, in good companies, etc. That's great, right? Invest in good companies and stuff. But do acknowledge and recognize the reality when your CEO of your favorite company, be it Tesla, is diverting his time, his energy, and his money to something else. And it's not what you originally invested in, the same way that people were disappointed with Mark Zuckerberg, that they felt like, Mark, dude, you're spending way too much money on this metaverse thing. You're going a bit crazy. You're going off the rails. And to be fair, guys, at least Mark Zuckerberg is aiming for a future that theoretically could be really profitable. I'm saying theoretically. I have my skepticism of that, but theoretically. Something like with Elon Musk and Twitter, which is a complete divergence, right? Where Facebook's trying to essentially say, hey, the writing's on the wall, social media is dying off, we're transforming to something else, let's take a direction company that way. Whereas Elon's like basically abandoning his pet projects and spending time on this other thing that I think is just a waste of money. And I don't know. It's really weird to see this much Twitter stuff all day every day. It's really weird because every time I flip on the news, it's like, oh my god, what is Elon doing? He's firing more people. He's pushing more stuff, and again, he wants $8 a month. And I think there's going to be, and the other thing too, which could be happening is maybe he's prepping up to sell a bunch of Tesla stock, and he's trying to like convince the fanboys that it's a good thing that he's going to dump a bunch of shares on people, or it's a good thing that he's spending time because he's doing social the social good by making Twitter a better place or whatever. But I'm just not seeing it. So that's my thoughts on this. Love to hear you guys' thoughts about this whole Elon Musk Twitter thing, but it seems really, really ridiculous. So anyway, hope you guys are well, and love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again.